I'm out here in my barn working on, well, not working on. I'm out here just playing around, experimenting, making prints with this thing. Have you ever seen one of these? This is a gel plate or a jelly plate. I saw a TikTok or a reel once. Somebody, they cut up a magazine. They were making a collage and layering all the pages together. And then they laid a bunch of paint down on this jelly plate. And then they put the pages on top of it, peeled it off, transferred the image, and then transferred that onto the paper to make the print. And that was it. Then it was just reusable and you could just keep using it over and over. And the possibilities just seemed endless. And I went down a rabbit hole of watching a bunch of other people making things with it and experimenting with it, and just looked like they were having so much fun with it. And I was like, oh, I want to learn that. And I just didn't take the time to learn it or buy the material needed for it, which really isn't all that much. I think the plate itself was $20 or $30, which is going to be your biggest investment. And then I've just been using my kids' paint and my kids' construction paper, making prints with that. And then after a couple of weeks of tinkering around, and then I bought some different paper types, and I'm experimenting with that and seeing, what different papers do and how they react differently to this specific plate. I bought this Brother monochrome inkjet. No, it's a LaserJet printer. That's the whole reason I bought it, is because it's LaserJet. Inkjet prints don't work as well for image transfers. This thing isn't really made for perfection by any means, and it's definitely not made for photographic applications. I mean, I guess it's made for whatever you want to use it for, but the point being, none of this is yielding perfect results. I can't control the process in that aspect. I don't have that kind of precision with what I'm going for, just because this process is so unforgiving. The times that, it doesn't work out at all and I basically get nothing, I'm not even upset about it. I still enjoyed the process along the way. And why can't I apply that to photography? The actual act of being out there with my camera. That's something that I've really struggled with a lot. And I think it's something that's probably universal. That's why I share it, because I think a lot of people probably at some point hit that. And if you haven't hit that point yet, I hope you never do. But it's been over 20 years since I got my first camera and really started identifying as a photographer. That was like the hat that I put on when I got my camera, and I put the camera strap around my neck. It came with a hat that was like, all right, that's your identity now. And I think now, especially, cruising into my mid-30s and transitioning into a new daily routine of being somewhat or mostly a stay-at-home dad now, which is amazing, but it's obviously given me, a different sort of perspective to reflect on. Or, concoct a midlife crisis. However you want to look at it, the point is, it's made me think about all of this and my time as a photographer, and for better or worse, me trading the private sacred bond between myself and my camera, trading it in for this shared experience where I share everything online and it's attached to work. When I started doing photography for a living for portraits before YouTube and all of this, it's always been tethered to just how I make a living, because that was my only way of just hacking the system so that I could spend all of my time, every waking second, thinking about photography in some way. Photography has been my safe little blanket. It's been my escape for over 20 years now. I think because of that, my relationship with photography will always have that sort of chip to it, I think that's just the trade-off of, doing it for a living, having all of my time and my attention being given to it. That's what I traded for it. It's not this escape for me that it was when I first picked it up. So for me, I've always tried to keep myself pretty busy with photography, and whatever your goals may be within photography, it doesn't have to be about books or personal projects or anything like that. I mean, go even further out from just photography, anything in general, whatever your goals may be. Sometimes it can feel like afterwards when you finish something, especially when it's coming from a place of creation and you're actually working on making something yourself and putting it out there, afterwards it can feel like, okay, what's next? And you can feel very lost. And it's something I've talked about plenty of times because it's something I regularly struggle with. I have so much trouble with all of the ideas that I have and not knowing which one to commit to and which one is worth anything and how to judge any of those ideas. And after working on Surveyor and putting that out and then just trying to figure out where to go next and working on the YouTube channel and also feeling like I was at sort of a turning point or just a stagnant point where I wasn't sure where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. But again, you know, the show must go on. That's the corner I've backed myself into. And when we're talking about being critical of ourselves as photographers, as artists, as whatever, I heard something the other day and I can't remember where I heard it, but they were talking about, you know, the way you speak about and to yourself internally and thinking about you as a kid and that version of yourself, the way that you see and experience and feel all of the different things, the same me internally that first picked up a camera and first saw everything and actually connected with it for the first time. That version of me is still untouched inside. And how you speak to yourself and the version of yourself that you're speaking to when you're speaking to yourself, thinking about it in that way. I'd never thought about it that before. It had never caught me like that before. Something about that clicked, and it made me think about the sides of myself and photography that I want to explore, the things that inspire me, but I always tell myself, you know, well, that's not me. I do this one thing because that's just what I know. And, you know, I'm being a big fat baby about it. That's really all there is to it. And so I'm trying to work against that. And for me, finding the things that just look fun to me and not just waiting and putting it off. I wish I would have taken the time to actually get into this a lot sooner than I did because it's just been nothing but fun. And when things don't work out, it's fine. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to be photography related. You know, find a different outlet other than just photography. Make prints that aren't even photography related, you know. I made one, just some old glassware that my mom had, and immediately, you know, I thought that would be so much fun to do a series of different prints just on glassware that was found. Imagining this, but like printed on fabric and then quilted up. Getting outside the mindset of just thinking about, I have a camera, I'm going to take a picture, and then I'm going to make a print, and it's going to look as clean and perfect and nice as it can be. There is that, but there's also a lot more that you can do, and you can have fun and play. You're only going to get more inspiration and more ideas that you would have never found otherwise. So just try and get your hands dirty, find some different techniques, play around with your photography in a different way. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and a huge thanks to the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. This has genuinely been one of the best tools for me as a photographer over the years. For over a decade, I've ran my website, mattdayphoto.com, through Squarespace. For me, I used to use my website for wedding photography and a place for clients to reach out. Nowadays, I use it for self-publishing and selling my own prints and photo books. I haven't done any coding since the MySpace days, but I don't need to know anything about how to make my website look the way it does. I can just use their customization from their templates. There's tons to choose from. You can find something that fits your style and then customize it to your liking. It's incredibly easy, but if you need help with anything, they have 24/7 award-winning customer service. I can vouch for them myself because I've used them. They're great. Give your work the home it deserves. Get your own website. You can sign up for a free trial at squarespace.com. But when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/mattday. Use the code MattDay at checkout. That'll save you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel.